Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you. Welcome back. We're going to continue on reading The Fifth Agreement. This is written by Don Miguel Ruiz and his son Don Jose Ruiz. And in this video, we're going to be reading the third agreement, which is don't make assumptions, something probably I would say almost 100% of us do. It's just natural. All of these things, all of these agreements are naturally ingrained in all of us from a very young age. Okay. Truth or fiction, the third agreement. Don't make assumptions. And this is chapter 5. For centuries, even millennia, humans have believed that a conflict exists in the human mind. A conflict between good and evil. But this isn't true. Good and evil are just the result of the conflict, because the real conflict is between the truth and lies. Perhaps we should say that all conflict is the result of lies, because the truth has no conflict at all. The truth doesn't need to prove itself. It exists whether we believe in it or not. Lies only exist if we create them, and they only survive if we believe in them. Lies are just a distortion of the word, a distortion of the meaning of a message, and that distortion is in the reflection, the human mind. Lies aren't real. They're our creation, but we give them life and make them real in the virtual reality of our mind. When I was a teenager, my grandfather told me this simple truth, but it took years for me to really understand it because I was always thinking, how can we know the truth? I was using symbols to try to understand the truth, when the real truth is that the symbols have nothing to say about the truth. The truth existed long before humans created symbols. As artists, which we all are, if you caught my previous videos, we are all artists because we are creating our life as we go along with our thoughts, our words, and our actions. We're always distorting the truth with symbols, but that's not the problem. As we said before, the problem is when we believe that distortion, because some lies are innocent and others are deadly. Let's consider how we can use the word to create a story, a superstition about a chair. What do we know about a chair? We can say that a chair is made of wood or metal or cloth, but we're just using symbols to express a point of view. The truth is that we don't really know what the object is, but we can use the word with all of our authority to deliver a message to ourselves and to everyone around us. This chair is ugly. I hate this chair. The message is already distorted, but this is just the beginning. We can say it's a stupid chair, and I think that whoever sits in the chair might become stupid also. I think we have to destroy the chair because if someone sits in the chair and it falls apart, that person will fall and break a hip. Oh yes, the chair is evil. Let's create a law against the chair so that everybody knows that it's a danger to society. From now on, it's prohibited to get near the evil chair. If we deliver this message, then whoever receives the message and agrees with the message starts to become afraid of the evil chair. Very soon, there are people who are so afraid of the chair that they start having nightmares about it. They become obsessed with the evil chair, and of course they have to destroy the chair before it destroys them. Do you see what we can do with the word? The chair is just an object. It exists, and that's the truth. But the story that we create about the chair is not the truth. It's a superstition. It's a distorted message, and that message is the lie. If we don't believe the lie, no problem. If we believe the lie and try to impose that lie on other people, it can lead to what we call evil. Of course, what we call evil has many levels, depending on our personal power. Some people can lead the whole world into a great war where millions of people die. There are tyrants all around the world who invade other countries and destroy their people because the tyrants believe in lies. Now we can easily understand why there is a conflict in the human mind, and only in the human mind, the virtual reality, because it doesn't exist in the rest of nature. There are billions of humans who distort all those symbols in their head and deliver distorted messages. That's what really happened to humanity. I think that the answers why all the wars exist, why all the injustice and abuse exist, why the dream that we call hell exists in the world of humans. Hell is nothing but a dream full of lies. Remember, our dream is controlled by what we believe, and what we believe could be truth or could be fiction. The truth leads us to our authenticity, to happiness. Lies lead us to limitations in our lives, to suffering and drama. Whoever believes in truth lives in heaven. Whoever believes in lies, sooner or later, lives in hell. We don't have to die to go to heaven or hell. Heaven is all around us, just as hell is all around us. That's so funny. I was just telling my son that I personally do not believe there is a place of hell where we look down and there's hellfire and people go there for all eternity. I believe that we create our hell on earth or our heaven on earth. And I was explaining this to him, and now we're talking about it. Heaven is a point of view, a state of mind, and so is hell. It's obvious that lies have been running every show in our head. Humans create the lies, and then the lies control the humans. But sooner or later, the truth arrives, and the lies cannot survive the presence of the truth. Centuries ago, people believed that the earth was flat. Some said that elephants were supporting the earth, and that made them feel safe. There's still people who think the earth is flat. I don't think it's round perfectly, but I don't think it's flat. Good. Now we know that the earth is flat. Well, now we know that it isn't flat. The belief that the earth was flat was considered the truth, and almost everybody agreed, but did that make it true? That's a good one. We all know that the Bible has probably been the #1 best-selling book for so many years. But if you dig past the Bible and you're a person that questions things and so many things don't add up or make sense to you, you will soon find that the #1 best-selling book is full of misinformation, omissions of truth, and misinterpretations, simply because there wasn't a clear understanding or people were fearful of sharing the same message that got somebody crucified. To me, that makes complete sense, and it's only after several years of doing my own searching, not just by way of reading books, but by way of going inside, that I have come to realize so many things, and so many things that couldn't be answered for me growing up Catholic. My question would be answered with, well, God only gives us what we can handle, or he knows you're strong enough to handle that. Or the other one that people like to say a lot is that God is punishing us, or we're feeling the wrath of God. And these are things that I used to say and fully believe in as well. But they never made sense to me. It never answered the question. The other one was God works in mysterious ways. When you really realize who God is, where God is, and the purpose of God, all of those questions fade away and you actually receive answers. And it's not to say that you receive all the answers and you'll never have questions again about this aspect of your life, which is why you exist. But it really makes so much more sense than answering a question with a vague answer that really just leads to more questions with no answers. One of the biggest lies we hear at the present time is nobody's perfect. It's a great excuse for our behavior, and almost everybody agrees. But is it true? On the contrary, every human in this world is perfect. But we've been hearing this lie since we were children, and as a consequence, we keep judging ourselves against an image of perfection. We keep searching for perfection, and in our search, we find that everything in the universe is perfect except the humans. The sun is perfect, the stars are perfect, the planets are perfect. But when it comes to the humans, nobody's perfect. The truth is that everything in creation is perfect, including the humans. If we don't have the awareness to see this truth, it's because we are blinded by a lie. You may say, what about someone who's physically disabled? Is that person perfect? Well, according to what you know, that person may be imperfect. But is what you know the truth? Who says that what we call a disability or even a disease isn't perfect? Everything about us is perfect, including any disability or disease that we may have. I disagree with that, the disease part. And if you listened to the Christ letters, you'll know why I say that. And in a nutshell, basically, we're not meant to get sick. These things are caused by our own actions. And we can change those by shifting in so many different ways, as explained in that book. Everything about us is perfect. I do agree with that. To a degree, I agree. Someone with a learning difficulty is perfect. Someone born with a finger or an arm or an ear, without finger, arm, or ear is perfect. Someone with a disease is perfect. Yes, they are perfect, but that disease is not perfect. It's not God-made. Only perfection exists, and that awareness is another important step in our evolution. To say otherwise is not to have the awareness of what we are. And it's not enough to say that we're perfect. We need to believe that we're perfect. If we believe ourselves to be imperfect, that lie gathers more lies for support. And together, all those lies repress the truth and guide the dream that we're creating for ourselves. Lies are nothing but superstitions, and I can assure you that we live in a world of superstition. But again, are we aware of it? Just imagine waking up tomorrow morning in 14th century Europe. Knowing what you presently know, believing what you believe today. Imagine what those people would think of you, how they would judge you. They would put you on trial for taking a bath every day. Everything you believe would threaten what they believe. How long would it take before they accused you of being a witch? This is exactly what happened to Jesus. He tried to bring the concept of reaping and sowing 2,000 years ago to people that fully believed that every bad thing that happened to them was God's punishment. Even things that happened to their loved ones. Was it something I did that my child paid for in being ill? It was deeply ingrained, and he didn't have what we have today to present the information. That he was very limited. He had the farm animals, he had nature around him, and that's pretty much it. That's all that he had. He didn't have all this knowledge. He had the knowledge that was given him when he asked for it, but he didn't have these outside sources to refer to. And he was also trying to teach people that were thousands of years already programmed to believe in a wrathful God. And that's what he was trying to undo, was to teach us that reaping and sowing, and when bad things happen in disease and disaster, it's all human made. This is exactly what they did to him. It's what they did to witches. It's happened over the millennia. He's just the most well-known. They would torture you, make you confess to being a witch, and finally kill you because of their fear of your beliefs. You can easily see that those people lived their lives immersed in superstition. Hardly anything they believed was true, and you can easily see that because of what you believe today. And that's also what they did. He brought a message that was exactly the opposite of what they expected of this Messiah that everyone was waiting for so long. They could not allow that information to get out. The Jewish religious leaders could not allow that. And so it was a big surprise to them when they thought they were getting this Judaic and Jewish believing Messiah, and he was telling people exactly the opposite of what they were sharing with them, from reaping and sowing to sacrificing animals in the temple to atone for sins. Jesus said that is basically, you're killing a creature that God made that he loves equally as much as he loves us, and you're saying that he's asking you to do this when God would never ask you to kill something he created to atone for your sins, just as another person cannot atone for your own sins. Think about that further when you're thinking about why Jesus was crucified. Simply because they didn't want his message to go out. They didn't believe in it. They thought he was destructive. They thought he was crazy, and they didn't want that fear to be removed from the Jewish religion. That's what kept people in line, is fear of God's wrath and going to hell. And if you took that away, they were afraid that the people would just go and do whatever they wanted without a regard for anything. But there is still reaping and sowing, which you do still pay. It doesn't come from God, though. It comes from the universe. It's our own action. It's our energy. What goes up must come down. What you give, you get, like for like, whether it's bad or good. But those people were not aware of their superstitions. Their way of life was completely normal for them. They didn't know any better because they never learned anything else. Then perhaps what you believe about yourself is just as full of superstitions as the beliefs of those people long ago. Just imagine if humans from 7 or 8 centuries ago in the future could see what most of us believe about ourselves today. The way that most of us relate to our own body is still barbarian, though not as much as 700 years ago. Our body is completely loyal to us, but we judge our body and abuse our body. We treat it as if it's the enemy when it's our ally. Our society places a lot of importance on being attractive, according to the images we see in the media, on television, in movies, magazines. If we believe that we are not attractive enough according to these images, then we believe a lie, and we are using the word against ourselves, against the truth. The people in control of the media tell us what to believe, how to dress, what to eat, and they manipulate humans like puppets, which means in whatever way they want. If they want us to hate someone, they spread gossip all around, and the lies work their magic. When we stop being puppets, it's obvious that our lives have been guided by lies and superstitions. Imagine what future humans would think of our superstitions. If they believed in the perfection of everything in creation, including every human, would we crucify them for their beliefs? What is the truth and what is a lie? Once again, awareness is so important because the truth doesn't come with words, with knowledge, but lies do, and there are billions of lies. Humans believe so many lies because we aren't aware. We ignore the truth or we just don't see the truth. When we are domesticated, we accumulate a lot of knowledge, and all that knowledge is just like a wall of fog that doesn't allow us to perceive the truth, what really is. We only see what we want to see. We only hear what we want to hear. Our belief system is just like a mirror that only shows us what we believe. In our development, as we grow throughout our lives, we learn so many lies that the whole structure of our lives become very complicated. And we make it even more complicated because we think and we believe in what we think. We make the assumption that what we believe is the absolute truth, and we never stop to consider that our truth is a relative truth, a virtual truth. Usually, it's not even close to any kind of truth, but it's the closest we can get without awareness. Now we go into the actual third agreement. That was the introduction. Don't make assumptions. This takes us to the third agreement. Don't make assumptions. Making assumptions is just looking for trouble because most assumptions are not the truth, they're fiction. One big assumption we make is that everything in our virtual reality is the truth. Another big assumption we make is that everything in everyone else's virtual reality is the truth. Well, now you know that none of the virtual realities are the truth. Using our awareness, we can easily see that all the assumptions we make, and we can see how easy it is to make them. Humans have a powerful imagination, very powerful. And there are so many ideas and stories that we can imagine. We listen to the symbols in our head. We start imagining what other people are doing, what they're thinking, what they're saying about us. And we dream things up in our imagination. We invent a whole story that's only truth for us, but we believe it. One assumption leads to another assumption. We jump to conclusions. And we take our story very personally. Then we blame other people, and we usually start gossiping to try to justify our assumptions. Of course, by gossiping, a distorted message becomes even more distorted. Making assumptions and then taking them personally is the beginning of hell in this world. Almost all of our conflicts are based on this, and it's easy to understand why. Assumptions are nothing more than lies that we are telling ourselves. This creates a big drama for nothing, because we don't really know if something is true or not. Making assumptions is just looking for drama when there's no drama happening. And if drama is happening in someone else's story, so what? It's not your story, it's someone else's story. Be aware that almost everything you tell yourself is an assumption. If you're a parent, you know how easy it is to make assumptions about your children. It's midnight and your daughter isn't home yet. She went out to dance and you thought she would be home by now. You start imagining the worst. You start making assumptions. Oh, what if something happened to her? Maybe I should call the police. There are so many things you can imagine, and you create a whole drama of possibilities in your head. 10 minutes later, your daughter arrives home with a big smile. When the truth arrives and all the lies are dispelled, you realize that you were simply torturing yourself for nothing. Don't make assumptions. If not taking anything personally gives you immunity in the interaction that you have with other people, then not making assumptions gives you immunity in the interaction that you have with yourself, with your voice of knowledge, or what we call thinking. Making assumptions is all about thinking. We think too much, and thinking leads to assumptions. Just thinking what if can create a huge drama in our lives. Every human can think a lot, and thinking brings fear. We have no control over all that thinking, all those symbols that we distort in our head. If we just stop thinking, we no longer try to explain anything to ourselves, and this keeps us from making assumptions. Humans have a need to explain and justify everything. We have a need for knowledge, and we make assumptions to fulfill our need to know. We don't care whether the knowledge is true or not. Truth or fiction, we believe 100% in what we believe, and we go on believing it because just having knowledge makes us feel safe. There are so many things that the mind cannot explain. We have all these questions that need answers, but instead of asking questions when we don't know something, we make all sorts of assumptions. If we just ask questions, we won't have to make assumptions. It's always better to ask and be clear. If we don't make assumptions, we can focus our attention on the truth, not on what we think is the truth. Then we see life the way it is, not the way we want to see it. As we shall see, when we don't believe our own assumptions, the power of our belief that we invested in them returns to us. When we recover all the energy that we invested in making assumptions, we can use that energy to create a new dream, our personal heaven. Don't make assumptions. All right, so that is the completion of our third agreement. I thought I would have to break these up, but so far I can handle them in one video, and you can always go back if the video is a little too long for you. So in the next video, we're going to be reading the power of belief. So this one is not exactly an agreement. It's kind of in the middle of the third and fourth agreement. Chapter 6, The Power of Belief, the Symbol of Santa Claus. So that's what we're going to read in the next video. And then we will move on to the fourth agreement, always do your best. So we'll go ahead and stop right there. Thank you all so very much for joining me. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing, liking my video, and commenting, sharing with somebody who may enjoy this type of content. Doing these things really does help out my channel. It helps my videos get out to the algorithm and tells YouTube that people are watching and they are interested, and it would just really help me out a lot. And let's face it, the more we can get this kind of information out there and it resonates with people to listen to it, to take the time to take the knowledge in, the better off we'll all be, because when we work on ourselves as individuals, we cannot help but affect everybody in that positive way. So adding more positivity, adding more love, understanding, and grace to our own selves and to all of those around us, we can certainly use so much of that right now. So until next time, take care of you, take care of those around you. I love you all very much, and I'll see you very soon for Chapter 6. Take care until then. Bye-bye.